So when it comes to structure of a neural network, as I already mentioned, we are pretty much inspired by the human brain. So artificial neural networks are said to be inspired by the structure of human brain. So I have been repeating this point again and again because we are actually copying the concept, or we are actually taking a leverage of a human brain concept in order to build the artificial neural network. So in other words, in order to build an artificial neural network, it is very much important, or it is very much understood that we have to go deep into the structure of a human brain. So once we get a gist or an overview of how a human brain works, so it is pretty much easy to understand the concept or the methodology behind the structure of a artificial neural network. So let's first begin with the understanding of a human brain structure. So let's first understand the basic structure of the brain. So the structure of the neuron and how information travels through the neurons. So I have taken a gross example or a gross pictorial representation of a human brain on the left hand side. So this is a human brain, and all those points which I tried to represent over here are considered as neurons. So neurons are the building elements of human brain. So these points, or the highlighted points over here, are magnified on this picture on the right hand side. So this is how human brain is made up of. So each and every building element or the basic elements of a human brain is neuron. So the picture you can see over here is a neuron. So a neuron consists of two different ends, what we can say on a overview. So it consists of two different ends. So one is the receiving end, one is the output end. So let me consider this end as an input end. So this neuron has certain structure to process the electrical signals coming from the input and process it and have certain information retained, which we call it as memory, then activate certain signals or pass on the information to other neurons through output end. So on a whole, a neuron is a functional element of the brain which receives information in the form of electrical signals, process the electrical signal, understand what the signal or that electrical signal is carrying about, decode the signal or the message in the signal, retain certain information as a memory, then transfer that additional signals or activate the signals based on the input to the further connected neurons. So a single neuron is connected to multiple other neurons internally through the structures like this. So in other words, it is a network of neurons. So basically a human brain consists of network of these small tiny basic elements called as neurons. So that's what a human brain or a human brain structure looks like. So this structure is basically the functional unit. So the how the brain actually works, or what actually brain performs activities in order to memorize or in order to learn the things, it uses neurons as a basic functional elements. So let's say an example, when we start or when we born as a babies, and as a time passes away, a child learns to know the things, know its environment, start to identify the things around it, and how all these things are possible. All these things are possible only because of the presence of neurons within the brains. So the structural elements or the functional elements of the brain, the neurons which are responsible for learning or make the child to learn and retain certain things and help the child to identify the things. So let's take an example of how uh, a neural network learns, or how a child, take an example of a child and how a child learns to identify certain things. So let's just begin with an example over here. So this is a dog, so we can easily able to say that it is a dog based on certain features or based on certain characteristics, right? So we can't just say it as a dog, a cat or a lion, right? We can easily identify this as a dog because our brain as of now is capable of identifying this picture as a dog. How all these things are running in the background, as soon as we see the picture, how is this, our brain or we myself can able to identify this as a dog?